Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something genuinely unique, a 7-day AI leadership retreat happening in Finnish Lapland. Sam, when I first heard about this, I thought it sounded like luxury branding. But the more I learned, the more I realized there's serious substance here.
Right? And that's exactly what makes it worth discussing. On the surface, it's AI executives in the Arctic under the midnight sun, which sounds like a travel brochure. But underneath, you've got this collision of three really important things: genuine neuroscience about how wilderness resets cognition, Finland's position as a regulatory leader in AI governance, and the fact that we're less than 18 months away from the EU AI Act's August 2026 compliance deadline that could cost organizations up to $30 million if they get it wrong.
That deadline is the real pressure point, isn't it? We talk about AI regulation on this show constantly, but I think a lot of European executives still view it as abstract. Can you break down what actually happens on August 2nd, 2026?
Article 6 of the EU AI Act activates its high-risk classification rules and mandatory transparency requirements for generative AI and chatbots. That's not a suggestion or a gradual phase-in, it's a hard stop. Non-compliance triggers fines of up to $30 million or 6% of global revenue, whichever is larger. For a mid-market enterprise, that's potentially business-altering. And here's the thing, most organizations haven't even mapped their AI systems against those risk categories yet.
So the retreat isn't just about wilderness therapy and clearing your head, it's actual AI governance bootcamp with stakes attached. Walk us through what participants actually do there.
The structure is deliberately split. Days 1 and 2 focus on what they call wilderness immersion and AI foundation reset. You're staying at Taiga School on KitKaiarvi Lake in Kusamo, literally surrounded by boreal forest and 4 national parks. They intentionally disconnect you from digital noise and use guided walks to trigger what neuroscience calls cognitive reset. There's actual research showing wilderness immersion increases creative problem-solving by 50% and reduces decision fatigue.
That's not just feel-good stuff. That's measurable neuroscience. But then what? They can't spend the whole week hiking.
No, and this is where it gets clever. The afternoon sessions use experiential learning to introduce AI fundamentals. Instead of slides about neural networks, they explain them through observing ecosystem complexity. Data governance? They examine watershed management. It's not dumbing down, it's anchoring abstract concepts in sensory spatial reality. Your brain actually retains that better.
So, by day 3, you're cognitively reset and you have intuition about how these systems actually work. Then the real work starts?
Exactly. Days 3 through 5, participants work directly with EtherLink's AI architecture team to build a working AI agent tailored to their specific organizational challenge, could be sales automation, compliance monitoring, customer support, whatever's the core pain point. Simultaneously, they're absorbing EU AI Act compliance frameworks. You're not just understanding the regulation, you're building against it in real time.
That's the bridge between strategy and actual execution that so many retreats miss. They give you vision but no pathway. Here you're leaving with something concrete, an AI agent that works and a compliance roadmap. What does someone actually walk out with at the end?
4 tangible deliverables: personal certification in AI-led architecture principles, something called a golden prompt stack, which is basically their strategic AI decision framework, a 90-day implementation roadmap with legal guardrails built in, and access to Ethermind's governance consulting network for ongoing support. That last one matters because compliance isn't a one-time project. It's ongoing.
Let's talk about why Finland specifically, because that choice isn't random. Finland doesn't just have nice forests.
Finland ranks 3rd globally in AI readiness, according to the World Economic Forum AI Index, and it has Europe's most advanced AI governance frameworks. Helsinki alone generates $2.3 billion in AI-driven enterprise value annually. But more importantly for this retreat, Finland has genuine regulatory leadership. The ecosystem and the people running it understand AI governance at a depth that most European countries don't yet.
So you're getting mentorship from architects working inside the world's best AI governance ecosystem, and you're getting it in a landscape that literally makes your brain work better. The combination isn't accidental.
Not at all. The midnight sun is another piece most people miss. It eliminates circadian disruption. Your body doesn't get confused about whether it's time to sleep. That sounds trivial, but it accelerates learning and pattern recognition during intensive training. You can absorb more complex material without the brain fog that normally derails executive education.
So it's wilderness neuroscience plus regulatory expertise plus intensive technical training, all in an environment literally designed to maximize learning. Who's this actually for? Because a 7-day intensive in Lapland isn't going to work for every executive.
It's capped at 8 executives, which tells you something about the model. This isn't a massive conference play. You need C-suite leaders or senior technical directors who are genuinely responsible for AI governance and strategy in their organizations. If your company doesn't have skin in the AI compliance game yet, or if you're just dipping your toes in, this is overkill. But if you're 6 months away from needing to be compliant with Article 6, this is how you compress that learning curve.
And the timing is critical. We're in that window right now where you can still get ahead of this. By 2026, companies waiting until August are going to be in crisis mode.
Exactly. The window for intentional, comprehensive AI governance strategy is basically 2025. After that, it becomes reactive and expensive. This retreat is explicitly designed for executives who want to be proactive, rather than scrambling at the deadline.
Let's talk about the skepticism angle, because I think some listeners are wondering, is this just very expensive team building disguised as technical training?
Fair question. The deliverables are concrete and measurable. You leave with a functional AI agent, not just notes. The AI governance curriculum maps directly to what you'll need to demonstrate to regulators. And the compliance roadmap has specific legal guardrails, not vague best practices. That said, it's not cheap, and Lapland in winter is not for everyone. But if your organization faces $30 million in potential fines and hasn't figured out how to build compliant AI systems yet, the ROI on a week of intensive, hands-on training is probably pretty clear.
That's the thing. It's positioned not as luxury, but as risk mitigation. You're paying for clarity and competency under deadline pressure in an environment that maximizes how much you can absorb.
And you get personal mentorship from architects who actually work in this space. That's not generic consulting. You're getting pattern recognition and judgment from people who've built and governed AI systems at scale.
What's your take on whether this model, intensive immersion, small cohort, hands-on building, is something we'll see replicated? Or is this pretty niche?
I think the format is smarter than the specific location. The idea of getting senior leaders into a high cognitive load learning environment where they're disconnected from daily operations and building something real? That works. Whether it needs to be Lapland is another question. But the EU AI Act compliance deadline is real and looming, and most executives need radical clarity on what that means for their organizations. Retreats like this are filling a gap that traditional consulting and conferences aren't addressing.
So the big takeaway for listeners is, if you're leading an organization that's going to be affected by EU AI Act compliance in 2026, the window to get intentional and prepared is right now. And the people who do their homework now will have massive competitive advantage over those scrambling at the deadline.
Absolutely. Whether you go to Lapland specifically or not, the principle holds. You need AI governance expertise on your leadership team, and you need it soon. The difference between companies that will be compliant and ready in 2026 versus those that won't is being made in 2025.
Listeners, if you want to dive deeper into this retreat, everything we've discussed, the structure, the curriculum, the business case for Arctic AI leadership, is available on etherlink.ai. Check out the full article there. Sam, always great thinking with you.
Thanks, Alex. And remember, the deadline is real, but so is the opportunity to get ahead of it. This is when that competitive advantage gets built.
That's EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.